What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house. Today, we're going to be talking about 7 easy steps to go from dad bod to fit bod and to just get in the best shape of your life no matter where you're at. So I know there's a lot of people out there struggling essentially with having too little muscle and just too big of a belly, essentially a beer belly, or just whatever the case is within that dad bod. And it's something that's kind of been normalized, and unfortunately, a lot of people just don't feel their best with that. So we wanted to provide some step-by-step action steps to get you to that next level. And with that, we hear a lot of different myths associated with that, whether it's a specific age that your metabolism goes down. You know, there's people that turn to be parents and they say it's absolutely impossible, but I truly believe no matter where you're at, you can get rid of that dad bod, you can lose that fat, and you can build that muscle in the process.
And it's such a flex. Like, that's just one thing I want to say, even as someone with 2 kids. And one thing I've always noticed, I remember even me and Kyle were at a pool for a business conference a few years ago. There's a dad there that was just jacked, throwing his 2 kids around. We're like, man, respect to this guy just for getting after it. And I totally understand it's harder than ever with kids, and it causes you to have more and more challenges, but you can absolutely navigate them, and like these tips will absolutely get you there. And same for moms. Like, it's I think one of the best feelings. Even one thing I always told my wife, I would say, like, hey, just take it when people are going to be like, wait, you have kids? Like, and have that as a goal in a way, right? Like, don't just allow yourself to get comfortable. And I think that's where this term dad bod was good, in the sense where it's like, hey, it's just like, it's a physique, it's a dad, it's chill. Guy drinks some beer, maybe lifts the occasional time, but at the same time, like, I feel like it's a bit of a cop out sometimes. And a lot of people I know in that spot, they're like, oh, I want more. I want to get in better shape. So this is your opportunity to do that. And like Kyle said, even if you're not a dad, even if you're a mom, whatever it is, or not a mom, skinny fat, it's a very similar type of feel. So if you're someone who's holding too much fat, not enough muscle, these tips are going to get you fixed up right away.
Yeah, and the first thing is just going to be aiming to eat real food. Now, I want to start with this because I feel like in order to get the dad bod physique, typically speaking, you eat quite a bit more. And it may not be on purpose, and it just might naturally happen. And a lot of it comes to just giving into a lot of these foods out there that are created to make you eat and crave more. So for example, if it's made in a laboratory, what a lot of people don't realize is there's just these people out there trying to figure out ways to make things addictive, trying to add as much salt and butter and just a lot of different things out there. And if you just start to eat more natural, healthy, whole foods, more, foods that have minimal ingredients, that alone will just solve everything, I truly believe, because it's going to be so much harder to overconsume these foods. They're less addictive. And whereas other foods, let's say if they're coming from different containers and they have like a million different ingredients, they're designed to make you overeat. So I truly believe the first and most important change for a lot of people would just to be tightening up your diet. We have a lot of other nutrition and diet related tips, but if you were to just take one thing, I would say starting off with this can help you make such a big difference on your journey. And I highly recommend this tip number 1, aim to eat only real food, or at least most of it.
Yeah, and like dad bod doesn't happen overnight. Usually this is like a accumulation of you gaining a little bit Thanksgiving, a little bit at Christmas, weekend with the boys, whatever it is. You'll notice things stack up, and over time you're just holding more fat than you'd want. Or as a lot of guys will tease each other and say a barrel or something funny like that, or a spare tire. So once again, if you want to address that, it'll be so much easier if you're eating real food. You'll be able to eat a lot more real food. You'll be more satiated. So you're just going to give yourself more of a benefit. And a really easy way to implement this is the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your food's going to be whole, hearty, good food that you would just say, this is building me towards where I want to be. 20%, you can still have fun things. And we're on the theme of dad bod. I had a hot dog the other day with my turkey burger. Like, once again, that I wouldn't consider that good real food, but I was able to fit that in. I was able to enjoy it. So you're able to have balance here and still progress. And then the next one, and a big one, is really monitoring the booze, and if possible, cutting it out. In general, it's just going to cause a lot of problems for you in your journey. It can be very caloric. It can be very energy draining. It can actually take away from your results and damage your sleep. And it's very, very easy when you're drinking to end up eating a lot more as well. So if you're just having a habit and you're really having a ton of drinks, I'd really challenge you to even install the app less, something I enjoy. So when you have a drink, you put it in that app and it lets you know on average how much you have a week. And I think for some people, they'd be shocked to see they're having 8+ drinks a week when it feels like you're hardly having any at all. And be honest with it. If you're getting one or a single or double, track it as 1 or 2 2 drinks, and start to make an awareness to improve on it. Because in particular too, a lot of alcohol consumption can lead to more visceral/stomach fat. And if this is something you're looking to avoid and you want to gain more strength and you want to see more change, a great solution you can do is actually just cutting out the booze.
Yeah, and there's the term beer belly for a reason. I think that's, what holds a lot of people back is just the consistent alcohol consumption. And you'd be surprised. Like, I like that Josh brought up that app, because I know a lot of people, and I've had these conversations where some guys specifically, they'll just be like, oh, I just have like maybe a few a week, like max. And it's like usually a few a night. And then the weekend, it's like that alone. Even, for example, if you go out on a Saturday and you just are someone that drinks a lot, it could easily be 10 plus, depending on, how much beer you drink. Especially, I know those go down easier for some people, or football Sunday, or whatever the case is. So it's been really cool, even for us, doing 6+ months no alcohol, challenging a lot of people around us. A lot of our clients have improved so many different habits. And I truly believe that there's just no real upsides to it. And it's probably hard for some people to hear, but you can still have a great time. You can still make some different changes, like, hey, grab a sparkling water, grab a Diet Coke. Like, you can still have a blast with people. And that's been a really cool challenge. But I think it's what's holding a lot of people back as well. Now, next up, number 3 is going to be just simply lifting weights. Now, where it's tough is a lot of this will be nutrition based, because I know there are a lot of guys out there that still have a dad bod, but they do lift quite a bit. They're, those guys who are always strong, but they have quite a barrel. They have a big stomach and whatnot. And that's why it's because they don't have all of these in place. And that's where I think in order to get rid of that dad bod, it has to be those nutrition tips. It has to be the strength training. So you also just want to make sure you're not just trying to burn 1,000,000 calories. Like, that's not going to help you at all. I know there's a lot of guys who will just go and use the elliptical and just go to the treadmill and, do a bunch of different things as well. So the biggest and the best thing to just start to focus on is improving strength. So strength leads to muscle gain. Muscle gains, lead to better ability to burn body fat. And if you just focus on getting stronger, doing full range of motion, consistently hitting the gym on top of the nutrition tips, you'll be able to get rid of that stubborn belly fat and that dad bod in no time. And the biggest thing is that we've helped so many amazing people, even just people who have literally had a kid a couple months ago. We have clients who are going to be having them shortly. We have clients who have no kids, but they just want to get rid of their belly and, feel better at their kids' sporting events and just feel more confident and have more energy. If this is something you feel like you want to do, we're looking to help take on a few dads who are looking to get rid of that dad bod and turn it into a fit bod. Specifically, if you feel like you have more potential, you want to have more energy for your kids or for yourself, and you just want to get rid of that physique that you're not happy with, message us dadbod to Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit. We specialize in this because we've helped thousands of guys in very similar situations who just want to optimize, who want to feel their best. Us, even as fathers as well, there's a lot of things that need to be taken into consideration. And that's where some people struggle, is they'll just follow an approach of this one random person who takes steroids and, maybe has all the time in the world. And that's the approach that they try to take, which isn't going to actually work. So message us dadbod. We fully customize everything for your journey, and we can't wait to help some of you amazing, gentlemen out there.
Yeah, number 4 is stop the excuses. So it's great to be able to talk about this as someone who has kids and has a lot of friends having kids, and talk to people at park with kids and whatnot. And it's just so easy to have a myriad of excuses around this topic. So all the time I'll get there's always junk food in my house because of my children and how they eat. And it's like, hey, well, you have the opportunity to not eat that and eat other things. Like, just stop making an excuse of that. Or I'm always so tired, or I'm working so much during the day, I just like to have something fun at night. It's not to say you can't do that, but that's where you need to actually be consistent with this 80-20 rule and actually start tracking your food. Make nutrition a priority in your life, and you'll see change. If you don't work towards something, you're not going to see any progress on it. Whereas you're like, I'm intentionally going to work on this. I'm going to aim to have a fitter physique, and you stop making excuses for yourself and just being like, after a hard day, I need to have 6 beers to relax. Like, start to find better solutions, start to replace bad habits with better ones. So instead of that, go out on a walk, start lifting a little bit more, get involved in a sport, do something extra, and be an example and a leader too in your household. Like, I even found for myself, like, by really aiming to eat good food, I can encourage my wife, I can encourage my kids. When we're at the table eating a dinner, I notice my son's a lot more receptive if he sees us eating it too, and he'll try other foods that would normally be outside of his repertoire that will be a little bit more simple and less healthy. So if you start going away from like, oh, this is just what's meant to happen. Like I have kids now, it's the dad bod. My time's behind me. I used to look good. You will absolutely see change. And like I said, the easiest way to do that is just track your food. And if you say you're too busy for it, you're too busy to see results or really just actually see any progression. And as Coach Kyle always says, you can have results or excuses, not both. So I'd recommend just right off the bat, start tracking your food, eat protein, veggies first, make nutritional health a priority, as I had mentioned, and then just build better habits as you advance forward. And if you do those things, you're going to see some amazing progress.
Yeah, I see a lot of excuses, like I said, with even the age thing, I hear that quite often, but even just with like sporting events or just like week to week stuff, like it's easy to be like, oh, it's just beer league here, I got a drink here, or, it's football Sunday, so we have all you can eat pizza and wings and all this stuff. And it's just like, there's excuse after excuse. And even as an example, we love to play poker with some buddies here and there. We've never even drank with that. We still have a great time. And it's like, you can make those decisions where you still, and that's not just relating to drinking, but it could be relating to eating. It could be anything. Like you can still have amazing opportunities to do stuff and just not make excuses with that. And I think a lot of people struggle with the people they're around as well, especially some guys are always going out and they're always, just like not with the best people around them encouraging them. So try to cut out those excuses. It makes such a big difference. Next up is just getting your hormones checked. And this is something that, once again, depending on your age, but it is worth looking into. I wanted to put this lower on the list because, I don't think it's exactly what people need just yet. Now, the biggest thing I'll say with that is there will be some people out there, let's say you're 250 pounds, you need to make changes. Like you're better off just committing to this health journey first off and then going into, getting some things tested down the road. I think a lot of people just jump right to it without making those positive changes. So I would take everything into consideration here with healthier food, with tracking your calories, with hitting workouts, with cardio, which we'll talk about, and making these better decisions. And then if you feel like you need to go do that, there can be some great benefits to that, right? You can get someone to check to see how your cortisol is looking, your insulin sensitivity, some blood tests, even some, testosterone tests, like hormone tests and whatnot. And these are things that can just, maybe the doctor would recommend things, or they'd say, hey, just get healthier and do some, great things for yourself on your journey. Most people will have no issues, nothing that they need to change. They just need to become healthier and just do the better thing and drink more water and get better sleep and all this other stuff that we're covering today. But it's definitely worth considering. And even if you feel like you may not be struggling, you never know, right? If they just give you one sort of tip or just give you reassurance, that's also a great feeling. But this is something that could help you out on your journey in one way or another as well.
Yeah, my next tip is just to move more. And it sounds obvious, but there's some crazy statistic of the amount of people that will never jump again in their life after the age of 30 or something like that. And I always found that crazy. So if you're able, like, just make a habit to also work on your heart health. Get out, do some walks, do some cardio, go do something that's fun to you, rock climb, swim, skateboard, whatever it is. It's easy to say I used to do these things and be scared of them to be hurt. But even for me, I find one of the best things is still doing these things, doing them intelligently, and obviously monitoring how you do them. Like, be reasonable. You don't have to go be a schmelt about it and get yourself hurt or do something really silly, but just start to do something that you enjoy, that inspires you. Different sports leagues are a phenomenal way to do this as well. And obviously there's some that are higher risk and there's some that are lower risk too if you are concerned about injury. Volleyball is one thing we've really come to love. Bouldering is absolutely amazing, which is like a form of rock climbing indoors. There's so many different things you can do to make cardio and activity more fun. And by implementing it as more of a habit, it can be really good. The downside, I'll say, is some sports, sometimes you can pull really bad habits with them. So do identify that. With hockey in particular, people tend to drink a lot before and after hockey. So you want to be aware of that, right? Or if you're always going out to these get crazy amounts of food after baseball or something, like, try to build in better habits there, and just do identify that. But this can be a great way. You can also just take up a hobby of your own if you want to start jogging or training towards a 5K or working towards something that inspires you, like a bicycle race or a swim or really anything. These are great ways to just add a little bit more excitement towards movement.
Yeah, I'd really try to make it not feel like a chore, because that way you'll just do it more often and it'll be more exciting as well. But yeah, last but not least, just getting good, consistent sleep. So this has to be a priority. Now, there will always be different things depending on, even maybe if you have kids, if work gets busy, whatever it is. Like, there's things that we can just monitor to make sure that we get the best sleep possible. So it's really important to just focus on what you can control, right? You may not be able to control the outside noise of, let's say, if you're living in a loud space like New York, or you may not be able to, control kids crying or whatever the case is, but you can control your bedtime, typically your wake up time. That alone takes care of like 70% of most people's issues within sleep. I promise you, if you set specific times, that alone helps a ton. You can control the temperature within your room. You can control having a nice good pillow, the bed that you get, blackout curtains, a lot of different things. And I really just encourage you to pay attention to it, because a lot of times people just think like, oh, I just go to bed and, they maybe eat before bed or they drink before bed and they do all these things and they don't pay attention to it. So I really encourage you to pay attention to your sleep patterns, what happens before you sleep and what happens as soon as you wake up, what happens in the middle of the night. Are you checking your phone to see a score or something? Are you keeping it right beside your bed? Like, pay attention to this, because it will make such a big difference. And most people don't realize when it comes to sleep, they end up having a lot of bad habits from that. Like, for example, they end up craving unhealthier food. They end up not craving healthier food. They end up getting injured, more prone to injury with bad sleep. So pay attention to this. It makes such a big difference. But I just want to say, if you're struggling on your journey, if you want to get to the next level, if you want to get that fit bod and get rid of that dad bod, we will be here for you. We guarantee results and we personalize every single part of the journey to help you get to the next level. Message us dad bod on Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit. We can't wait to help you out, and thank you for spending time with us today. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.